Hello students. So let's talk about further. In the last class we talked about the transportation in animals, that is blood circulatory system, as well as the lymphatic circulatory system or the lymph. These are the two type of fluids which circulate in the body of animals. Today we will be talking about transportation in plants. ट्रांसपोर्टेशन इन प्लांट्स. प्लांट्स में ट्रांसपोर्टेशन का क्या मतलब है? वी हैव टॉक्ड अबाउट फोटोसिंथेसिस, दैट प्लांट्स व्हेन दे डू द फोटोसिंथेसिस, द एनर्जी दैट इज स्टोर्ड इन द लीव्स. जब फोटोसिंथेसिस होता है तो सोलर एनर्जी, सन की एनर्जी है, दैट इज कन्वर्टेड इनटू केमिकल एनर्जी. And that chemical energy which is formed due to photosynthesis gets stored in the leaves. Okay. Now another thing we talked about, that for proper growth of the plants required various other material like nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium, magnesium, manganese, sulfur. So for the proper growth of the plants need these inorganic raw material or inorganic minerals. ये inorganic minerals plants में कहाँ से आएंगे? Plant absorb these minerals from the soil. So plants absorb these minerals which are required for proper growth of the plant. They take these minerals from the soil. Soil से कैसे लेते हैं? The roots of the plant. Soil के अंदर रूट्स है प्लांट के. सो द रूट्स ऑफ द प्लांट दे टेक द मिनरल्स फ्रॉम द सॉइल. नाउ दीज मिनरल्स विच आर एब्जॉर्ब्ड एंड द एनर्जी, दैट इज द केमिकल एनर्जी विच इज फॉर्म्ड इन द लीव्स, दैट हैज़ टू बी ट्रांसपोर्टेड टू ऑल द पार्ट्स ऑफ द प्लांट, बिकॉज द सेल्स ऑफ द रूट आर living cells. They require the energy, they require all these minerals also. Okay, so these energy as well as these minerals from the leaves or from the soil, they are transported to all the parts of the plant through either diffusion. Diffusion से कब होते हैं? When the distance is very less. If the distance of transportation, एक जगह से दूसरी जगह में जाना है तो उसका डिस्टेंस बहुत कम है. सो इफ़ द डिस्टेंस इज़ वेरी लेस, देन दीज थिंग्स, द एनर्जी और दिस मिनरल्स, दे मूव फ्रॉम वन प्लेस टू अनदर प्लेस थ्रू डिफ्यूजन. बट इफ़ द डिस्टेंस इज़ वेरी लार्ज, लाइक प्लांट की बॉडी बहुत बड़ी है, लाइक बिग ट्रीज आर देयर, then the distance of the travel is very large. In that case, the diffusion cannot fulfill this requirement, because diffusion is a very slow process. Diffusion जो है वो बहुत slow होता है. So if the distance is very large from the one point to the another point in which the energy or these minerals have to travel, then they cannot travel through diffusion. In that case, these plants should have a proper system for transportation. वो transportation का एक दूसरा system होना चाहिए which can transport the energy as well as the minerals to one organ to another organ. Okay. Another thing we know that the plants जो हैं वो move नहीं करते. They are stationary. The plants do not move. So they don't require much energy. Compared to animals, the plants require very less energy. क्यों? The main reason is animals में जो सबसे ज़्यादा एनर्जी हम कब यूटिलाइज करते हैं? when we show the movement. जब हम एक जगह से दूसरी जगह भागते हैं या कोई ना कोई काम करते हैं, सो हमारी एनर्जी जो है उसमें जाती है. बट प्लांट तो मूव ही नहीं करते. सो कंपेयर टू द एनिमल्स, the plants, they don't need much energy, they require very low energy. Okay, so दैट इज़ द रीज़न कि प्लांट्स के अंदर द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन सिस्टम इज़ वेरी स्लो, and for this transportation system the living cells are there, but because the energy requirement is less, most of the plant cells are dead cells. most of the plant के जो ज़्यादा proportion of cells हैं, plants के अंदर जो ज़्यादा cells हैं वो dead cells हैं. What is the function of these dead cells? To give the mechanical strength, because plants को ज़मीन के अंदर जकड़ के रखना है, उनको सीधा रहना है. So for that support the dead cells are present. So in plant the dead cells are more compared to the living cells. Okay, now when we talk about the transport system in the plant, okay, now we talked about how the energy which is formed due to photosynthesis in the leaves and the raw material from the root, how they are being transported. ये एनर्जी कैसे ट्रांसपोर्ट होती है और जो रॉ मटेरियल या फिर पानी जो रूट एब्जॉर्ब करते हैं वो कैसे ट्रांसपोर्ट होते हैं. फॉर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ द एनर्जी फ्रॉम द लीव्स एंड फॉर ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ द रॉ मटेरियल फ्रॉम द रूट्स टू अदर पार्ट्स ऑफ द बॉडी, for them there are different conducting tissues are there or conducting tubules are there. That means different system is there, different type of tissues are there which are responsible for transportation of energy from the leaves to all the parts of the body and to transport the raw material as well as the water to all the parts of the plant. ये अलग अलग tissues हैं. कौन से tissues हैं? One is known as xylem and the other is known as phloem. So in the plant there are two type of tissues, one is xylem and the other is phloem. The function of the xylem is to transport the water as well as the minerals from the soil to all the parts of the body. So ये soil से लेके पूरे ऊपर तक water को और minerals को supply करता है. That is through xylem. So there is one tissue known as a xylem tissue, the function of which is to transport the water as well as the minerals from the soil to various parts of the body, that means to the stem, to the leaves, to the branches, etc. The second tissue is known as the phloem, and the function of the phloem is it transports the product of photosynthesis. Product of photosynthesis means food. The function of the phloem is to transport the food from the leaves to all the parts of the body. That means वो leaves में से root को भी देता है, branches को भी देता है. So for transportation in plants दो तरह के tissues हैं which are responsible for the transportation. One is known as xylem, other is known as phloem. Xylem का function क्या है? To transport the water as well as the minerals which are absorbed from the soil. These are transported to all the parts of the plant. The phloem का function क्या है? To transport the energy or the food. Food कहाँ से बना? Photosynthesis से. Photosynthesis कहाँ पे होता है? Leaf में. So the function of the phloem is to transport the photosynthetic material from the leaf to all the parts of the body of a plant. Okay. Now let us talk about first the xylem, which is one of the transport system which is present in the plants. Now xylem is made up of certain cells. इन cells को क्या कहते हैं? Vessels, xylem vessels or the tracheids. So what are vessels and the tracheids? These are the organs or these are the cells of the xylem. Xylem is a complex conducting tissue. Xylem is a complex conducting tissue. Similarly, phloem is also a complex conducting tissue. Xylem is made up of different type of cells, and those cells they are known as xylem vessels or the xylem tracheids. Now the function of this is xylem take the water and the minerals from the root, it go supply these things to the stem and to the leaves. Okay, now the xylem is present in the root also, xylem is present in the stem also, xylem is present in the leaf also. This xylem of the root, stem and the leaf, it is interconnected. So root का भी अपना xylem है, leaves का भी अपना xylem है, stem का भी अपना xylem है. ये xylem जो leaf का, stem का और root का xylem है वो आपस में interconnected है. So because this xylem is interconnected, a continuous system is formed. रूट से लेके ऊपर तक एक कंटिन्यूस सिस्टम बन जाता है, एंड द कंटिन्यूस कॉलम और कंटिन्यूस सिस्टम इज फॉर्म्ड विच इज़ नोन एज ए वाटर कंडक्टिंग चैनल्स. सो xylem is a tissue made up of vessels and the tracheoids, and function of this is it form a continuous system for the transportation of the water through conducting channels. Now how the roots they absorb the minerals from the soil. Soil के अंदर जो minerals हैं वो कम है, रूट के अंदर मिनरल्स, रूट के xylem में मिनरल्स जो हैं वो ज़्यादा होते हैं. The minerals which are present into the xylem of the root, they are more compared to the minerals which are present into the soil. In spite of that, the roots keep on taking the ions. Ions means this minerals. Minerals are always taken by the roots in the form of ions. जैसे sodium, or you can say potassium is taken as potassium ion, sulfur as sulfur ion, phosphorus as phosphate ions, chlorine as chloride ions. So these minerals are taken by the roots from the soil in the form of ions. Now how these roots take the minerals from the soil? By active transportation. Active, when we say active, that means energy is required. Energy is required. See, there is a difference in concentration. Difference in concentration means the ionic concentration of various mineral is less in the soil compared to the xylem of the root. In spite of that, the root they keep on taking the minerals from the soil by active transportation. Similarly, when they take the ions from the soil, along with this the water also moves into the root system. So along with the minerals, the water always also move, and there is a continuous column of water in the xylem of the root, xylem of the stem, xylem of the leaf, that is connected. This pressure which I told you, when the roots take up the ions from the soil, they put a pressure on the xylem which is known as a root pressure. So what is root pressure? Root pressure is a pressure present in the cells of the root because of uptake of water as well as the minerals. But this root pressure, because of this root pressure, the water moves in an upward direction. But this root pressure is not enough. The magnitude of root pressure is not enough to explain the transportation in tall trees. बहुत बड़े जो ट्रीज़ हैं उसमें से रूट प्रेशर जो है इट कैनॉट एक्सप्लेन द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन ऑफ वाटर एंड द मिनरल फ्रॉम द रूट टिल द टिप ऑफ द स्टेम, because the magnitude of root pressure is quite less. So in that case the plants have a set-in strategy. Plants के अंदर एक और फिनोमिना है जिससे कि the water as well as the minerals which are absorbed by the roots, they are being transported to the tip of the plant. So that is known as a transpiration. Second strategy is कौन सी है? Transpiration. अब transpiration क्या है? You know, if there is an adequate water supply, ये रूट है, रूट के अंदर ज़मीन में पानी जो है enough water है. So the roots of this plant, they will take up water. They will take up the water. Why they will take up the water? First, you must be knowing that in the leaves certain small openings are present which are known as the stomata. लीव्स के अंदर छोटी छोटी ओपनिंग्स हैं विच आर नोन एज द स्टोमेटा. ये स्टोमेटा से इफ़ द टेम्परेचर इज़ हाई, लाइक इन द आफ्टरनून द टेम्परेचर काफ़ी हाई होता है, तो स्टोमेटा से पानी जो है वो बाहर निकलता है. सो द वाटर गेट्स इवेपोरेटेड in the form of water vapor, in the form of water vapor from the stomata of the leaf. Because of the high temperature, the water which is present into the leaf that goes into the atmosphere in a form of vapor. तुम देखो यहाँ से एरो दिखा रहे हैं बाहर की तरफ, that means leaf से जो पानी है वो बाहर जा रहा है. कैसे जाएगा वो बाहर? You know that leaves के अंदर small openings होती हैं which are known as the stomata. So from the stomata of the leaves, the water from the leaves goes into the atmosphere in a form of water vapor. This is known as transpiration. This is known as transpiration, and because this transpiration takes place through the stomata, it is known as a stomatal transpiration. So what is transpiration? Transpiration is a process in which the water from the leaves of the plant that goes in the environment in a form of water vapors. Okay, so the water molecules, they move from the leaf cells. When these water vapor move, then they create a suction. They create a suction. जैसे हम कुछ ग्लास में एक कोल्ड ड्रिंक लेते हैं, तो अगर हम ऊपर की तरह उसको खींचते हैं तो that is known as a suction. So when the water gets evaporated from the leaves, a suction is produced, and because of that suction, the water goes up and up from the xylem of the root to the xylem of the stem and to the xylem of the leaves. So this is known as a transpiration pull. It is not a push, it is a pull. क्योंकि स्टोमेटा से जब पानी निकलता है तो वो एक सक्शन क्रिएट करता है in the xylem of the leaf. Xylem of the leaf, it creates a suction in the xylem of the stem. The xylem of the stem create a suction in the xylem of the root. As a result, water जो है वो ऊपर leaves तक पहुंच जाता है. So this is known as a transpiration pull. Okay, now this transpiration जो है that help in the absorption of water. जब यहाँ से पानी ऊपर की तरफ जाएगा तो रूट में से पानी कहाँ से आएगा? From the soil. So because of this transpiration, the root of the plants, they keep on absorbing the water continuously during the daytime as well as during the night time. So this transpiration pull जो है, इसका जो magnitude है, it is very high, and it can explain the transportation of water even in the tall trees. So the transportation help in absorption of the water and the minerals. Okay, now another importance of this transportation is that this transpiration, it help in the temperature regulation. जब यहाँ से पानी बाहर निकलता है तो लीव्स का टेम्परेचर जो है वो कम हो जाता है. लीव्स का टेम्परेचर कम हो जाता है. अदरवाइज़ बहुत ज़्यादा सन की हीट से ये जो लीव्स हैं वो इनके क्लोरोफिल डिस्ट्रॉय हो जाएगा. बट बिकॉज ऑफ दिस ट्रांसपिरेशन द टेम्परेचर रेगुलेशन इज़ देयर इन द लीव्स. नाउ रात को जब ट्रांसपिरेशन नहीं होता, रात को नेचुरली बाहर हीट नहीं है, सूरज नहीं है या टेम्परेचर कम है, तो ट्रांसपिरेशन इज़ वेरी लेस. ट्रांसपिरेशन इज़ वेरी लेस, बट रूट प्रेशर इज़ ऑलवेज देयर. तुमने कई बार देखा होगा कि सुबह सुबह घास पे जाओ तो छोटा छोटा पानी की ड्रॉप्स होती हैं, छोटे छोटे पानी की ड्रॉप्स होती हैं. वो पानी की ड्रॉप्स कहाँ से आई? दैट इज़ बिकॉज ऑफ transpiration, but this transpiration is known as guttation. Okay, ये इतना हम डिटेल में नहीं जाते. नाइट टाइम में the root pressure is responsible for absorption of water. डे टाइम में transpiration जो है that is responsible for absorption of water. So during the daytime that is a transpiration that is occur in the open stomata. Clear? So this is how the xylem जो है it take up the water as well as the mineral from the soil, and this mineral and the water through the xylem goes to the stem and to the leaves. And what is responsible for this upward movement? It is the transpiration in the daytime, and the root pressure during the night time is responsible for the transpiration. Okay, now second is transportation of the food and the other substances. We know that the food जो है that is because of photosynthesis. So the transportation of the photosynthetic product that takes place from with the help of xylem. प्लांट्स के अंदर दो कंडक्टिंग टिश्यूज़ हैं, एक xylem दूसरा phloem. xylem का हमने देखा it is responsible for transportation of the water and the minerals, and phloem is responsible for the transportation of the photosynthetic product, for the transportation of the photosynthetic product. Now phloem के cells को sieve tubes भी बोलते हैं, and there are companion cells are there. So the phloem is a tissue which is made up of sieve tube cells as well as companion tissue. Like we talked about xylem जो है, it is made up of xylem vessels and the tracheoids. Similarly phloem is made up of sieve tubes and the companion cell. This function of the phloem is to transport the photosynthetic products plus amino acids plus various other substances. कहाँ से? From the leaves to अदर स्टोरेज ऑर्गन्स. कौन सी स्टोरेज ऑर्गन्स होती हैं? रूट्स में भी स्टोर होता है. लाइक हम कैरेट खाते हैं तो व्हाट इज़ कैरेट? इट इज़ अ रूट. सो रूट स्टोर द फूड मटेरियल और द फ्रूट they store the food material. In certain cases seeds also store the food material, and sometimes growing organs जो हैं they require more energy. So that energy, photosynthetic energy, that is been transported to the storage organs or to the growing part of the plants with the help of a tissue which is known as a phloem, which is made up of sieve tubes and the companion cell. Okay, now remember here another thing, the transportation which takes place through the phloem is upright also and downwards also. That means ये ऊपर को भी जाता है और नीचे को भी आता है. लीव्स जो है नीचे फोटोसिंथेसिस करती हैं तो ऊपर तक भी वो phloem के थ्रू the food moves up, or the food moves downwards also through to the roots. So the transportation in the phloem is bidirectional. The transportation which takes place through the phloem, किस चीज़ का ट्रांसपोर्टेशन होता है? फोटोसिंथेटिक प्रोडक्ट का या फिर अमाइनो एसिड का. दैट इज बाई डायरेक्शनल. इट इज़ अपवर्ड ऑल्सो एंड डाउनवर्ड ऑल्सो, एंड इट ऑलवेज यूटिलाइजेज एनर्जी. रिमेंबर दिस थ्री थिंग्स. द ट्रांसपोर्टेशन विद द हेल्प ऑफ phloem is bidirectional. Bidirectional means from the lower side towards the upper side or from the upper side towards the lower side. So this is bidirectional, and this transportation utilizes the energy. Which type of energy? The living organism can utilize only one type of energy, that is the energy which is present in the ATP, that is adenosine triphosphate. So the phloem transport always require energy. It is bidirectional. The energy is utilized in the form of ATP, and the photosynthetic material is been transported. Photosynthesis के बाद क्या बनता है? ग्लूकोज बनता है. But glucose is not transported. It is the sucrose which is transported. ये जो एक जगह से दूसरी जगह में फूड जो सप्लाई होता है प्लांट्स में, वो ग्लूकोज नहीं होता. क्या होता है? वो सुक्रोज. So that sucrose is being transported, and why this sucrose is being transported? That is because of the pressure difference. Which pressure difference? Hydrostatic pressure difference. The food material or the sucrose always move from the high pressure towards the low pressure. So remember, the transportation in the xylem is of water and the minerals. It is unidirectional. No energy is required. Transportation through phloem, it is bidirectional. Energy is required, and through phloem what is being transported? Minerals, the amino acids, not the minerals, amino acid and the sucrose. So this finishes the transportation in plants as well. Right, students? Next time, the last portion of this chapter, that is the fourth physiological process remains, which is known as excretion. So next time we'll be talking about the excretion. Okay, thank you students. Bye bye.